Ah, the good old Toontown. Oh, yeah. The good movements. How's it going, everybody? It's your pal Mega Snoop bringing you another Toontastic video today. And today's video, I wanted to have a little discussion video about a possible idea for a revamp of the Toontown CJ battle. Now, I would be doing actual CJ footage over this if it wasn't for the fact that on Toontown Corporate Clash, it's very hard to find a group for anything. And even on TTR and TTO, it's really hard finding a group for, like, the CJ. So, I'm not going to try to, like, stress myself to get a CJ group. Just have CJ footage for me to talk about the CJ when I can just go do a Cashbot building while talking about a CJ. Also, it kind of benefits me to do a Cashbot building considering that my entire cog gallery is filled except for 11 short changes. I don't know how I missed 11 short changes, but I missed 11 so I could. But to anyone who has never done the CJ battle before in the past, you can check out any of my previous videos. I have a couple of videos about it, one on the CJ in TTR and one on the CJ in TTCC. You can check either of those out if you're curious about what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to change. So the general CJ battle currently goes like this, and basically every single Toontown. You get your group together, you go in the elevator opens, you see the CJ there, he's like, oh, they're Toons, I can figure that out even though I'm blind and I can't see anything. I guess I can smell them, those furry looking, smelling animals. And so with that, you do a cog battle, and the cog battle, depending on which game you're playing, can last anywhere around 5 minutes or so. Maybe 10 minutes at the most. It's not that bad. On TTR, it's like 20 total cogs. On TTCC, it's like 20 cogs each side, and they can range up to level 15s with EXCs. It's crazy. But anyway, the cog battle's not what I have a beef with. The cog battle's fine. It's what comes after the cog battle that everybody is like... One of the big issues with the CJ is just how dull and boring it is. Like, no one likes doing it. Not to mention the reward is pretty trash as well, but we're not even going to get into that. We'll talk about that another time. So let's talk about the battle itself. So the first thing you do after you fight the cog round is there's just this cutscene where you stand there and you wait as the CJ just drives away. And it's like, after him, he's getting away. And it's like, nothing happens. You chase him down and catch him, nothing. So people just stand there and they wait for the next sequence. Like, can we just cut that whole cutscene out? It's just so annoying and it takes up time and nobody cares. So first of all, just take that cutscene out. But then the next thing that happens is you launch cannons into the seats of the jury. And the common rule is don't fire before 21 seconds because it doesn't really matter if you fire after. Because if you fire before and you make it on one of the seats, it takes approximately 20 seconds for a cog to fly in and take that seat over. So if you fire and land a hit anytime before 20 seconds, it's going to get taken over. So everybody just doesn't fire. There's no point. They're just like, well, we're just going to sit here and do nothing and wait until the 20-second mark, and then we're going to try to fire. That way, none of them are being taken over. I don't really have an idea how to fix that. I guess just leave it for now until somebody comes up with a really great idea of like, oh, it'd be really cool to fix that is maybe make a shorter timer or something, Have the cogs already in the seats and you have 30 seconds to try to like knock as many out as you can or something. But I digress. After that, you get however many Toons on the jury, whether it's 0 or 12, and then you move on to the next round where you run up to the little stand and you get some evidence, and then you have to take the evidence and you got to throw it into the scale. And so basically you have to keep throwing evidence into one side of the scale while the lawyers on the other side throw evidence onto their side of the scale. And you have to try to get yours to go down before theirs goes down. If theirs goes down, everybody goes sad. If yours goes down, you win. And that's all there really is to it. You dodge attacks like the lawyers throw their evidence at you instead of at the scale sometimes. There's gavels that come down that if you just stand at the right place, you avoid them. The CJ will jump every once in a while. But it's like, really, it's just spam delete simulator. And dude, it's so boring. Run over, grab the evidence, run back to the scale, spam delete. Just kind of keep your eyes and ears open to jump every once in a while. That's really it. Like, it's so boring. So why am I reiterating what most of you already know? Because I have a plan to change that. And maybe make some of these other parts have a point. At the moment, shooting Toons onto the jury doesn't really do much. I'm actually trying to remember what it does. Like, what exactly does it do? Is it something about, like, where the scale starts? Like, if you get more Toons onto the jury, does the scale start more in your favor? Does it make it where your scale weight is a little bit more. So like, depending on how many toons you have on the jury, when you throw evidence, it goes down by 2 instead of by 1. Whatever difference it makes, it's really not noticeable and nobody can really tell or even care. So why do we try? Here's my idea. Let's start over from the beginning. The doors open up, the CJ's there, he smells you, he's like, alright, let's do a battle. And you do the cog battle, that's fine. I got no beef with the cog battle. Keep the cog battle the same. It's whatever you want. Next thing is the little cutscene that's unnecessary. Just cut the cutscene out. We don't need that cutscene. Just have him be like, oh my, you beat the cogs, and then just have him over on his stand or something. Or even have like the cannon portion while he's like driving away and we get fire over his head or something. It's just, I don't like sitting there for an eon waiting for him to drive to the other side of the room. You know, there's no point. Alright, but let's talk about the real meat of it. Here's where the real ideas come flooding in. So have it where the cannon round is still the same. You fire cannons and you want to get as many toons onto the jury as you can. This is a big point because the more toons you have on the jury, the faster the second round is going to go. And here's my idea for the second round. So instead of us, the toons, throwing evidence into the pan, we have the toons up on the jury throwing evidence into the pan periodically. And as they're doing that, it goes down much faster than it would if us toons were doing it. So usually we sit there for like 10 minutes straight, throwing evidence into the pan and watching it slowly tip. But have these toons be throwing it and it's like do 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 do, and it's moving really, really quickly. But on the opposite end, have the lawyers be trying to throw it on the other end and have their side go up. And what our job as the toons are is to stop these lawyers. Now, it would be way too easy if the lawyers were as the lawyers are now, just standing in a row, not moving, waiting, taking 20 seconds to throw one. But imagine something like the TTR Cog Thief game, where you have cogs surrounding you from all directions. And we have to go get evidence and run back and try to stop the cogs from walking in. And if we throw and we hit one of the cogs, they get stunned, and they don't really die, but they get stunned, and or maybe they could die, I don't know. But it keeps them from throwing evidence onto their side, and if they get close enough, they stop, and they start throwing a bunch of evidence, and we gotta stop them. But in order to make it like fair and balanced and actually difficult, make it where there's like a ton of cogs. Because Cog Thief is like 4 cogs, and it's not really that tough. But if you get like 20 cogs coming from either side, and when you hit it, it just kind of gets stunned but doesn't really stop, it makes you constantly have to move and do something, and everybody's working. So you gotta stop the cogs from coming in from the edges to throw evidence into their side, all the while toons from the jury are throwing evidence into your side. And like I said, it's going down quickly, so once the toon side comes all the way down to the bottom, it stops, and the CJ who's up on his pedestal falls to the ground, and he stomps and he lands on the ground, and he becomes stunned for about 30 seconds, where he's like, whoa, what just happened, right? And that's when we have to take all the evidence that we have, that we gathered, that we're holding, and we have to hit the CJ directly and start doing damage to him. And imagine he has like 300 health, so we're all hitting him, and we probably get like 50, 75 hits off of him in that 30 seconds. But that's not enough to defeat him. After that 30 seconds is done, he stands back up, his thing comes back up to the top, and then the scale resets back to even, and we have to get another round of defending off cogs again. And so after he goes back up, we have to start defending against cogs until the toons bring the scale down. So it gives you emphasis on making sure you've got a lot of toons on the jury so that you're spending less time trying to defend the scale and more time attacking the CJ. And it actually, you know, attacks the CJ, because as it is, we're just kind of throwing stuff into a scale and not doing much, and the CJ just kind of sits up there like, rawr, 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 rawr. And you can still make them jump every now and then, so we gotta dodge that by jumping. And you can still add the gavels if you want, and if it's a higher tier CJ, have more gavels and more cogs and higher level cogs that require being stunned more times before they're defeated. And you can do all these different things and ideas depending on the tier of the CJ, but I want to do something besides delete simulator as you sit in one spot and then jump periodically. Like, that's no fun. I don't like doing that. I want something different, something that actually gets me fighting. So, anyway, that's my idea for how to revamp the CJ battle. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys have any ideas, because this really needs to be changed. It's been too long with us having just this terribly boring CJ fight that nobody likes doing. I would submit this idea to TTR, but TTR is pretty stuck in their ways of trying to keep the game as core to TTO as they can, so this isn't something that they would necessarily change. Like, it's an idea if they wanted to add a new boss in the future, they could use an idea like this. But I guess I'm kind of gearing this more towards Corporate Clash. Corporate Clash crew, if you're listening, Ricky, I love you. If you ever want to revamp the CJ and make it fun and make it where people actually want to do the CJ, I think this is a good way to do it, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like if you did like it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay awesome, God bless, and peace.